Hey, welcome to the channel. So I thought today what we try to do when it comes to repair part of the aspect of what we may encounter is working on decks. And that can be welding, fabricating, you name it. Stick around and we'll go farther into it of how we do it. And our way is not always the best, but this is just the way we do it when it comes into our shop. So stay tuned. Alright, welcome back. My name is Eric, if you didn't know that already. And we do the weekday, Monday through Friday, the weekends, and then we throw some repair videos together. This is stuff that we do on a daily basis, you know. Today we're going to be covering deck repair. And when is it repairable and when is it not? And what are your welding skills? How well can you weld? So the big thing is, first off, the places that I look the most are where the deck actually attaches. Because a lot of times those will be the first places that they'll start to crack. And we've had customers call us and say there's something not right with their mower, it's not mowing right, and have this whole buckle ripped right out. And when it comes to our shop, if we're doing a service on it, that's one of the things that Claude's really good about, is he checks to make sure that these are all in good shape. Now I know you can't see that from here, but case in point is around this Cub Cadet deck, the paint has already started to peel around this. And once that peels, now it allows the air in to the steel so that it can start to rust. One way you can prolong it is simply by taking a grinder and cleaning it up, and then using just regular metal paint right from Walmart. Buck something to can. Doesn't matter what color it is, as long as it keeps the air out so you don't have any oxidation. The other way you can do it is, I also recommend, we have fluid film that you can spray. It's kind of like an oil based, and you can use that when you store it during the off seasons. But where I see it the most, the biggest problems are with people that don't take care of their lawnmowers, specifically their decks, and they let it build up with grass and water and crap. And what ends up happening is it starts to rust their their deck out. Can't even talk today. So the key thing for us is we're looking at the points that are under the most load most of the time, deck wheels included. I don't know how often we have people where they hit stuff with their deck, the wheels, and bend them right around or crack the deck. And with this, with they're welded on, they're actually providing rigidity on that deck on the corners. So if it gets bent or it gets to a point of where it's cracked open, now you're going to have stress on that deck wherever it is. So we look at this, and then the four wheels. If you only have two wheels, two wheels. Those are the key spots that we look at when it comes through for a service, and we try to catch it. But again, most of the time it's not from a regular customer, it's from a customer that we haven't seen before. They show up and they haven't taken care of their mower, we haven't seen it to service it, and now they've got, the deck is not sitting right, can you come pick it up and work on it and get it going again for me? And come to find out, this whole piece is snapped right off, and it's up in the hangar and you got this great big piece of a hole right out of your deck. You can weld these back. We do weld these back. But you got to build up the whole area and then replate it. If you're going to weld anywhere on this deck with holes and stuff, the first thing you want to do is you want to get it clean. Then you want to take the hardware off that's going to be in your way. Now, there's two ways that we can get rid of what I call cancer, and that's the rust that's causing the holes. Is you can either use a plasma cutter, which we normally do, but I understand most of you guys, if you're doing it yourself or if you're just, weekends and nights, or maybe you just can't afford to step out and buy one. Totally understand. Next best thing, you definitely have got a grinder. And you want to buy some cutting wheels for it, for steel. So we use this as a dual purpose. And if we didn't have the plasma cutter, I already attached this blade. I would simply take this hardware off, if this is where I was trying to get access to, and then I would just take and cut the square out. Now, can't stress it enough. Safety equipment. Whenever you're using a grinder, whether you're grinding with it, you're cutting with it, or you're cutting with it, you want to wear proper protection. And when I say proper protection, when I'm using a grinder, I'm not using my regular work gloves. I'm grabbing my welding glove, because that's going to give me protection farther up on my arm. Because we had a neighbor that had one of the discs snap when he was grinding. It shattered, and it walked right up his whole arm, the side of his face, and thank God he was wearing glasses. It broke one of the lenses in his glass. Had it not been safety glass, it would have taken his eye out. So safety, safety, safety first. I know it's only going to take me a minute, but to be safe about it, it's going to take me this long, and only takes just a split second, and then you're either blind or disfigured, you name it. So when the areas that we tend to stay away from when it comes to the decks is down around where the spindles actually bolt on. We have put washers and built up and welded them in place before. We've made plates that we could set down in as long as it hadn't lost the true balance there. Because the biggest problem when you're doing any welding around where these spindles are, that the blade attaches to, is if you change that pitch even just a 1/16 of an inch, that blade is going to change its pitch, right? And it's not going to be balanced, and it's going to be scrubbing the ground. You're never going to get it true. So if it's really bad, just stop and just tell the customer, I'm sorry, I can't fix it. Versus trying to fix it and then it not working. The key to most of the deck repairs that you're going to see are probably up around in these areas or where the hinges are, and that just simply means cutting out the bad, taking a grinder and cleaning all around it down into nice, good, solid metal so it's shiny, so that you get good penetration with the welder, and then taking something that's thick enough, depending upon where it's located, whether you use part of a filing cabinet, tin drawer, to what do you do with all your old lawnmower blades that are no good? We keep them around because we use them for welding. It don't have to look pretty, guys. All it has to do is just do its job. So that brings us to the next thing is we've already talked about using the plasma cutter or using the grinder with a cutoff is welding it back into place. Welding something, and what I tend to do is I actually will cut my material that I'm going to plate with a little bit bigger than what the hole is, okay? I'm not trying to drop down into that hole, but I want to make sure that I've got that metal cleaned right down to shiny, all the paint off from it, so that I get good penetration. Now, I know what you're probably going to ask is, what's the best way to do it? Is it to stick weld it or to wire feed weld it? And if you are good with stick and you feel comfortable on that light of steel, there's no reason you can't. My preference is I like the wire feed. I've got a 110 auto arc that's made by Hobart wire feed, and once I got penetration, I can keep going all the way around without having to stop. Whereas if I'm welding with a stick, I'm going to go so far, and I'm going to have to toss that one and put on another one, right? And this way you're never losing contact with the metal when you're coming all the way around it. Some of you guys may not be able to afford the wire feed. Totally understand. I think it's easier with a wire feed, but that's just my preference. Claude, he would rather use the stick. Either way, you have to control the temperature and the heat ranges on your welder. If it's too hot, it'll burn right through the metal that you're trying to adhere to. If it's not hot enough, your rod's going to keep sticking. You've got to find that balance. And a lot of times what I tell people is take and do it on a test place area just to see, to get your heat range where it needs to be. So hopefully that'll give you some ideas. I mean, the biggest thing is getting the deck completely clean, getting anything out of your way that was going to hinder you from getting good access to what you want to weld. And the other thing is making sure if you find stuff that's bent, bend it back, and if it needs to have an extra touch of weld on it, weld it. Don't let it, check these areas when they come in, because it's easier to fix when they're still attached than it is when they're not. So hopefully on that note, let me know how you guys do it. And maybe you go about it a little bit differently than we do. So on that note, thanks so much for watching, and you guys have a great day.